Okay, good morning. So the topic of this, well, it said that it was putting the top 100 into Booge, but we kind of did that last week. So I think I had the descriptions a little off, but a couple of things I just wanted to do a little deeper dive and a couple of reinforcements today. Booge is rolling out and it's really coming together really well, I think. If you don't get in here every day, you don't kind of see the improvements as they're happening. So I do encourage everybody to spend some time going in. And even if it's just a matter of you tagging all your folks and, really building, sorting, and qualifying your database, even if that's where you're at right now, that's fine. Last week, what we talked about was how you can actually run those task plans and start rolling out every day, 5 days a week. You can launch like 2 or 3 different people for that top 100, and it's going to fill up your calendar really nicely. Some other things I wanted to talk about today was, I always say pick 3 sales channels. And I really want everyone to get grounded in that. And, if you're working by referral, what does that look like? How are you filling your 1 hour of lead generation 5 days a week? White posted a great Facebook post yesterday, and it was actually, it's a quote from Tim Ferriss, and it said, you can pretty much gauge the success of people by how many uncomfortable conversations they're willing to have. And, I just thought that was such a brilliant statement, because we always talk in momentum, and Lori, this, we talk about there's no growth without discomfort. And I really want to challenge everyone. When's the last time you truly felt uncomfortable? Like, can you start jotting down those moments during the week when you feel uncomfortable? And I think it would be a really good exercise for us to push ourselves. And, maybe even, I don't know what you think about this, Lori, if we started a let's get comfortable with being uncomfortable Facebook group and, actually went in there and posted what made us feel uncomfortable during the day. And I think
I would do it.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it would be very telling for us if we shared how often we're uncomfortable. And I think what it would display is, if that page stays blank, are we really growing? It would kind of be an interesting experiment.
It would be an interesting experiment. And then you also don't feel like you're so alone when you feel uncomfortable, because it's like everybody else is feeling uncomfortable too with what they're trying to do.
Yeah. And, it's so funny because now with White being so entrenched in, doing those expired calls and probate calls, it's just so fun to see the transformation that he's gone through. And he'll gladly talk to people about it. I mean, his whole business, his whole career has completely transformed because he was willing to get uncomfortable and stay there. And, I don't think he gets uncomfortable now. He might. We could ask him. It might be interesting. Did you just do like an open house thing? How'd that go?
We did. It was a small group, so it was good. There was a lot of interaction. And I think the big takeaway is everybody does something different, but the panelists and then the people, we had one agent that joined that hated open houses and didn't see any value in it. And then I think at the end, she kind of maybe got a little bit more motivated to do it, that was good to see.
That is interesting.
Yeah, it's something different. She'd have to make a change, but I think that would probably be getting out of her comfort zone. I think we actually did talk a little bit about, getting out of your comfort zone a little bit in that class too.
Well, and I loved Mel Robbins' video on finding your passion, and how you don't find your passion, you actually bring your passion with you to things. And even I think on Lee Brown, when she did that webinar that y'all said, that was one of her slides, is where's the passion? You know, to me, if you're doing open houses, it's because you're passionate about what you're doing and you want to meet people and you want to go out and introduce yourself to the community and you want to be a vital part of, you know, helping people accomplish their goals. And I think it is all about meeting other people and, you know, just being part of the community. And I think
And
that's a big advantage. Something I want to talk about today is a little strategy that I've been mulling over the last couple of days, that you know, just really putting yourself out there. And it really does start with, sometimes it is being uncomfortable, getting out there and just being uncomfortable. And working by referral can be very uncomfortable. You know how many people don't want to go do Popeyes, and those are people that they
yeah.
actually know.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. One agent, I think it was Mary Grace. One day she was in here. She's like, I don't want to go do these Popeyes, but I have to. And she did. And when she came back, she's like, okay, so I saw them when I was doing a Popeye and they're going to be wanting to sell their house. I'm like, see? So
I mean,
I thought that was, yeah, she got uncomfortable and she did it.
yeah, and it's great. I remember Buffini used to always say the quickest way to a commission check is to do a Popeye. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think just being willing to do that. That's why I really stress the accountability partner. Get an accountability partner. I mean, I just had a prospecting partner. Honestly, I mean, Susan and I can tell the story of the time that we were calling for sale by owners and she locked me in that office and would not let me leave until I made those phone calls. And I think I made one phone call and I got an appointment. But it took me 3 hours.
You just did one phone call. That's funny.
It was hilarious. But, you know, I always had a prospecting partner. And I really encourage people to do that.
Again, as much as we're independent agents, I think having that accountability partner or that prospecting partner, because you got to get uncomfortable, but have somebody to do it with you so you don't feel so. I think the whole key is you don't like being alone in the whole journey sometimes. So I feel like if you do have those accountability partners, you know, when more people are in it together, then they probably will have an easier time doing it.
Yeah, safety and numbers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think even if it was 1 day a week, that it was a prospecting, you know, 2 hours of prospecting a week in the office, and everybody came in and just got stuff done. What a huge journey toward getting into the habit of 1 hour a day, 5 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you had a prospecting block, and maybe it was 2 days a week. You know, and really just got into that consistency of bringing in the notes, making the phone calls. I mean, you guys provide so much more than most people. You still have Red X, correct?
Yes, we do.
I mean, if people aren't calling around open houses and listings, I could just pull up RE/MAX Center listings. And if there was a RE/MAX Center listing in a neighborhood that I wanted to work, I would just call the listing agent and say, hey, I'm going to circle prospect around your listing. Are you okay with that? If they're not doing it, then what would they care? And then all you do is say, hey, RE/MAX Center just put a house on the market in your neighborhood and it's listed for $348. And I just was curious if you had any questions or if you knew anybody that wanted to move into the community. We're trying to get it sold fast for this client. Like that's it.
I mean, that's not from coming from a background where you had to cold call and get appointments way before I did real estate, to me, that's such a soft call in a way. You've got something that somebody somewhere's got to be interested in. And, you know, if you're asking somebody to find their own neighbor, I mean, like, that's not even a sales call to me, but that's my take on it.
And, you know, we have a letter that complements that, the show off your home letter. We have the new prospect letter. So you could even, you know, by referral only really promotes you work the 40 houses, they call it Farm 40. And you work those 40 houses around that listing from the time you get the listing or before, if it's a coming soon, and you work that until 60 days after it closes. If you just honed in on those 40 homes, I guarantee you get listing appointments and potentially find more buyers. You know, because the predictive analytics are in 30 days, someone else in that neighborhood is going to list. And in 6 months, another 3 to 5. And I can't tell you how long. I mean, I don't think, did Jen get on the call? No, but you know, the best call Robert Smith and ask him about the new prospect letter that he did out in that little neighborhood. I know the name of it. He might still be working it in Loganville. And I think he was up to his 13th sale from the new listing prospect letter in a little over 2 years, like 90,000 in commissions from that letter. And I don't know if those letters are going out. Is anybody doing the new prospect letter?
Some have requested it, and there's been several one-on-ones that I've had where I'm like, try this. That's you like, and I give the example of Robert Smith. And if they've put it into action, I know some of them have good intention to do it. I don't know if it has gotten put into action, but I think, eventually, if we keep telling the story that this is working, and I know we've been telling it for a while, then I think more people are apt to do it.
I'll tell you, there's 3 things that I would do if I was getting back into sales. The 3 things that I would 100% make a commitment and get it done. I'd figure out what I was doing. Hold on, I'm gonna have a chat here.
Denise.
So Denise has had 2 people ask for help on the thing. So I think what's important is to figure out, okay, what's holding you back, or do you just not believe, is it just not a good idea to you? Like, I'm okay if it's not in your belief system. But when people say, oh, that's such a good idea, and then don't do it, then those are the people that I want to try to help. Because if it's something like, I just don't even want to farm, then it's not in your belief system. That's one thing. But 100%, if I were to get back in sales right now, 100%, I would be implementing the top 100 in Booj. I would make sure that I had everybody tagged, and everything that it told me to do on my phone, I would actually execute. That's number one. Like, the top 100 is working by referral. That's what it is. And I want it to be automated. Otherwise, I'm not going to do it. So getting that top 100 implemented so it tells me what to do, with who, and when is 100% a non-negotiable in my career if I'm going to work by referral. And if it's not in Booj and it's not automated, then just show me how it's done for you. But the problem I see with most people is they're not making any of their lead generating a habit. It's when I have nothing going on, I'm going to do a flurry of activity. Hopefully that'll produce one piece of business, and then I can stop doing it. And then I'll work that one piece of business until it closes, and you never get a sense of calm. That's an agent in survival mode. So when we talked about survival mode, that's an agent in survival mode. So I don't even care if you're doing 30 deals a year. If you don't have systems in place and things that are habits, you're kind of operating a little bit in survival mode. That would be the first thing I would do. Totally, totally believe that. The next thing I would do is, I think farming is still very, very effective. And farming includes postcards, full-blown letters, and phone calls. And you already provide the access. That's usually what holds people back, is they don't have any way to get the phone numbers. Here, every time I got a listing, or if I was going to do an open house, or if I didn't have a listing, I'd just go into Remax Center and see who had a listing in a neighborhood that I wanted to get a hold of, get a footing on, and I would pick 100 homes. I wouldn't do that. The problem is most people will try to do the entire neighborhood and they go broke in 2 months. That's not how the smart farming program is rolled out. They start with 250. So 250 homes, you could even do 100. Pick 100. But I would love for people to get on a safe search. Well, you know what we should do is, when someone gets a listing, we should go ahead and put ourselves on a safe search for that neighborhood and see how many other homes come up for sale while that agent has it listed. From the time they list it to the time it closes, we should go ahead and do that. You know what? That's what we should do. We should put ourselves on a safe search, and then we could email the agent and say, hey, did you see that a house right around the corner from yours just went up for sale? That's what we should do. What do you think? Yeah. I think that's what we should do.
Yeah.
So I would be farming 100%. The other thing I do is I would come up with, and it's perfect in line, it's in perfect alignment with the iBuyer thing. We already know that, and this is the strategy that I'm trying to formulate, and maybe you guys can help me with it. So we already know that an iBuyer will not be offering you market value for your home. So they can't offer you market value because they're going to turn around and sell it at market value. So they can't offer it to you at market value, pay you, and then put it back on the market for the exact same amount. So what I would do, and I bet you for sale by owners, expireds, withdrawals, I bet all those people have requested for an offer from somebody. Don't you think, Lori?
Oh, I 100%.
And like a lot of other people that just are curious, because there's no obligation for them. There's no obligation. So what I would do is I would have either Fiverr or somebody, I'd pay someone to make up a really awesome ad, Facebook ad, and just create it in Canva or something. And I'd have it really catchy. And I'd have it say something like, if you have requested a cash offer from one of the following companies, and I'd name them, Zillow, Opendoor, the big ones, even Keller Williams, because Keller Williams is now making offers. I would say that, and I'd say, if you would like to know how far under market value their offer is, I will be happy to provide you with a free personal equity assessment report.
I like that you called it an equity assessment.
Yeah, so that, and if it, and some of you agents may have gotten it, it came from Keeping Current Matters. They sent out an email and they said, stop doing CMAs, start doing pairs, personal equity assessment report. And at first I was saying, well, I'll let you know if the offer is above market value, at market value, or below market value. But the whole thing is we already know that it's absolutely going to be under market value. So I think if we have that ad more on lines of, I will provide you with the equity report and show you how undervalued the offer is. That way I'm already making the assumption it's going to be under market value. Now it's just how far under market value is it? The other thing is, you know, they're kind of, it's almost, I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm doing a, maybe I'm stepping a little too crazy here, but it's almost like predatory, like what's that word? Predatory, like their marketing is predatory. I mean, those service fees can go up to 18% on some of those. It's almost unfair practices. Like the public is not being protected by these, like we're regulated as realtors. I don't know if they're in any of the same regulations that we are. I don't know if they're realtors.
Opendoor being a broker, a licensed broker, Keller Williams being a licensed broker, wouldn't they, I mean, if we're regulated as realtors, wouldn't they be regulated as well? I don't know.
I don't know if they're realtors or not. Keller Williams, I think, are realtors, but I don't know that anybody at Opendoor is actually a realtor.
Oh, like
they could just be licensed.
Yeah, they can just be licensed. Yeah.
They can be licensed. So they don't, you know, follow any of the ethical guidelines. I mean, you have to figure out, you know, what is the true cost of that convenience and are they being taken advantage of? But I don't want to do it in a way that's accusatory, but at the same time, I don't know. I just think that it just needs some exploring, like some thinking. We should, I think if we have the iBuyer discussion, we have, you know, a whole discussion about all the different thoughts. Like when does it make sense for someone to do that? Like to me, there is a time where it actually does make sense for somebody. But you know who I think is a big, and this is the same thing, when I had my sister's house and I had my investment house, I cannot tell you how many text messages I got from people saying, hey, I want to buy your house at 2708 Woodland Wall Crossing. And they were private investors. So all they're doing is scouring the tax records looking for non-owner occupied homes. And agents can do that too, because I guarantee you, those are the people, I think, that are going to have more. Maybe they bought cash and it was an investment, and now it's time to turn that. Remember a couple of years ago when all those big investors were coming in and they bought all those rental homes?
Mm-hmm.
Well, don't you think at some point they're going to sell those?
Yeah.
So who are they going to use to sell it? I mean, if they bought it through an agent, doesn't mean that they still have that relationship. But if they just want to get rid of stuff, iBuyers would be an easy way for them to do it. So I think that's another huge avenue, is non-owner occupied properties. And those you can identify right in the tax record. And I would craft a letter. I can't tell you how many letters. I still get a letter. They obviously haven't fixed the tax record yet to show I sold that house. But I still get letters from some big investor downtown that wants to buy it. And I had a text not long ago. We want to buy your house. So we don't have to do we want to buy your house. But remember, you can put in an offer for a client through Opendoor.
Yes, you can.
Yeah. And get paid, what, 1% commission, I think?
Mm-hmm.
So there's avenues. And I think if you explore all the avenues, but I'd be posting all over Facebook. If you've requested a cash offer from an iBuyer, I'd be happy at no obligation to show you how much money you're leaving on the table.
And if, I know you're talking about top 100, this is definitely a message that needs to go out to your top 100 to protect them.
Mm-hmm. I had 3 friends in my top 100. They all requested an offer from Opendoor.
My own mom wanted to request one from, she talked to me about it. And I was like, Mom, just like, hang on a second. But I mean, I had to talk her through it and help her understand, because it was attractive to her. She was just like, I don't have to put it on the market. I don't have to do anything. I was like, okay, well, you're going to take probably 30% less. But anyway, I still think the message needs to get out to your top 100.
I think it does too. And I think, like in the top 100, we talk about doing a unsolicited CMA. I think what we should be offering for anybody that owns their house 2 years or more, a personal equity assessment report. I'd be happy to provide you with a personal equity assessment report, because then you're actually going through the net sheet. I can't tell you how many agents I know that list homes and they never take their clients through a net sheet at the listing appointment. It blows my mind.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that blows my mind. So that is so critical, and we need to be offering these. I'd have it all over my website. I would create a whole page. So anything that we're putting together for iBuyers, that would be all over my website. Create a whole page about the iBuyer experience. What is an iBuyer? I'd be educating. You know what? I think there actually is a time where an iBuyer makes sense, and I would be happy to tell someone about it. So I just think there's so many opportunities. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about was, did anybody listen to this? Because I just came into Mac Center this morning, and what if instead of fearing a market disruptor, you became the market disruptor and changed your customers' experience as a result? So I just saw this. Did anybody?
I've not listened to this episode yet.
I haven't either. So I think this would be a great action step today to see what's going on with this. So I'd be working my top 100. I would automate it through Booz. If that's a good idea to anybody listening and you haven't done it, please reach out and let us know how we can help. We'll be happy to walk you through it step by step. It's not difficult, and it can be completely personalized to the touch. You might want to do 4 touches a year. Maybe you don't want to do 100. Okay, then we can just do 4 touches, or not 100 touches. Maybe you don't want to do 12, but using the technology to help you stay engaged and stay in flow with your very best people is really important, in my opinion. I think that's why a lot of people didn't do the top 100 before, because I presented it on a spreadsheet. And I actually like a spreadsheet, but I don't know that everybody else does. I think actually for this, I would prefer to have it automated. I would be farming. I would be working 40 or 50 homes around every listing. I'd be definitely doing open houses, but I would be doing them effective where you can grade yourself on the before effort, the during effort, and the after effort. There's 3 phases to an effective open house. And in my opinion, if you really go all in each phase, easily picking up between 1 and 3 new opportunities every open house. Was that kind of what you heard through the open house discussion? How were the agents that were on the panel? Were they?
We talked about the before, the during, and the after.
And how are they doing? Are they able to go back and grade themselves, and are they getting new clients?
I think they're putting their follow-up in place was critical to one, and they do have a system for that. I think we did ask the question as far as, you know, what your conversion was like. They have all picked up business from an open house.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see how, even if no one came to the open house, if you did the before correctly, that you couldn't at least gain 1 opportunity from that open house. But you have to have an expectation of getting that, and you have to have the intention of really getting that. I mean, could you have a bust? I mean, I guess, but I just find if you're doing all the videos ahead of time, all the announcements, you create an event on Facebook, like when you go through all those detailed steps of the before, which include introducing yourself, maybe not to 20 neighbors, but how about 10? Could you do 10? Of course you could. Inviting the neighbors to come over. Now you have something you can offer people, a personal equity assessment report. I would start blasting that everywhere. I'd never say the word CMA ever again on the planet. I would never say that ever again. I would be doing that equity assessment report, personal equity assessment report, PAIR. And I'd be offering that like crazy, once a quarter. I remember when we set up those letters to go out through Lead Street. We set up 4 different letters to go out throughout the year, and we crafted them in January. And they all had a different message based off of the time of year. And we just set it as a campaign in Lead Street. And those letters went out to our entire database. And I can remember we set it up in January. And then by September, it was so funny. White called me one day and he said, I had 2 people ask me, or filled out we were using the CMA link. That's what it was. We were using the cloud CMA link. And he said, I had 2 people fill that out. It's so weird. And I said, oh my God, that's because the letter went out in September and we had forgotten about it because we had set it up. And then, you know, we set it and forgot it and totally forgot. And he had gotten 2 hits in September. So it's putting all those things in motion, you know, that can run behind the scenes. That's why some of those Facebook ads can be powerful, or sending out campaigns where you have a call to action, offering different things, directing people to your website for things. So there's just a lot of ways that you can fill up that lead generating hour if you know your 3 sales channels. So, I mean, if open houses are one of my sales channels, then twice a month I'm doing an open house. Like I'm going to do 24 doing an open house once or twice a year to me makes no sense. Like I wouldn't even bother doing any, because you're never going to move from consistent to efficient to proficient. So you never get the true return on your investment unless you are willing to get consistent first so that you can actually get good. So people that just do an open house because the seller asked them to do it, is like, I would tell you to tell that seller no. Like there's no point in just doing, that's like working by referral. That's like waiting by referral. It's the same thing. You're either waiting or you're working. But if open houses are truly your strategy and you can't commit to 2 Saturdays a month, then you're not a full-time realtor, in my opinion. Or 2 Sundays or 2 Monday evenings or whenever you're going to do. You don't have to do them on the weekends either. You can do open houses 7 days a week if you want. But 24 open houses isn't even that many in a year. So it's you know, it's making the commitment. How many open houses were the people on the panel doing?
Well, one is a team, and so they have several properties going on in one weekend, but minimum two weekends out of the month
Yeah.
with several different properties. The other one was a newer agent, and their goal is to do two open houses a month.
I think that's great.
Mm-hmm. They like it because they know that they're good face to face, and they like being face to face with people.
Well, and all of us need to be, because that's how we sell real estate.
Mm-hmm.
It's face to face.
Yeah.
So if we don't like people, we need to rethink real estate. And just like I said, bring that passion. Bring that passion. Make it like a party atmosphere. Have fun with it. When you enjoy doing something, you're going to want to do more of them. And people can feed off of that energy. They can feed off of that energy. So a couple of things, I don't know if I mentioned this last week, but just to recap on a couple things and go a little bit deeper. In RE/MAX University, they have now broken out all the videos. So I'm not sure if everybody had seen that, but if you come into RE/MAX University and come over to the left, scroll all the way to the bottom to Booj, they've now broken these into the categories, and it's made it very, very easy to go in and find exactly what you're looking for. So I love that they've done this. If you just want to look at consumer tools or the mobile app, now they've really broken it down so that you can find everything that you need. So if you wanted the marketing, sending single emails, and then the whole CRM. So the contact manager, DocuSign, which we don't use, but so I like that they've broken it down. You can find things. These are all between, 3 and 7 minutes. So the videos are very short, succinct. They're right to the point of what it is you're trying to accomplish. So again, if you're really putting in your personal development hour, then you should be coming in, and I would spend 1 hour just going. I'd probably go through each video. So I would go spend an hour. It'll get you through about 8 to 10 videos, and I would check them off as I got through them. That's the best way that you can learn how to do this, and then go into Booj and start playing around with it. But you can set up. I encourage everybody. Do you know if anybody had started putting their deals in there, Lori? Did you have a class on that, on the deal pipeline?
We did. Now, there's only one agent that I know of that has gone in and played around with it. I think people right now, are still kind of in the phase of getting their contacts in, getting them tagged, and then looking to do campaigns. That's kind of the consensus, and the website. So deals, eventually, I think they will, once they get in there and get used to the system, I think deals will actually come next.
Perfect.
I just look at it more as a sales funnel, quite honestly. Like, don't worry about the deals. This is like a sales funnel. Mm-hmm. That's how I look at the deal tracker. I kind of wish they didn't call it deals.
Okay. So I think it's kind of fun when you do start putting stuff in, because then you'll be able to actually see what your potential is. You'll start to really be able to engage with, like, see, I have all these tasks. I had set up the top 100. So on Tuesday, I have 3 CMAs that are due. Because see how if you roll out, if you launch the task plans, then it's going to fill in and tell you what it is you have to do. So it's filling my hour for my lead generation and my lead conversion. And that's what I like about getting that in here. Do we know when the listings tab is going to go live?
No.
So right now, it's getting that in. If you are doing open houses, you can create an open house follow-up plan. And you can launch that after, on any of the people that you meet at the open house. So if I met Sue Smith on Sunday, I'm sitting right there. I have my CRM on my phone. I go ahead and add Sue Smith. I tag her that I met her at the open house. That's one of my tags. And then I can launch a task plan for follow-up. And what I can do is I can go in and create my follow-up plan for open houses that the day after. You always have to have a next step. So remember the next step system. That means every time I have an interaction with someone, I'm setting up and confirming what my next step is with that person. So whenever you meet someone at an open house, you always need to be thinking, okay, what is going to be my next step? Because otherwise, if you don't have a next step, then you're not going to ever call that person again. You're going to be forced to be in a position of, oh, I'll just wait and see if they call me. But if you can gain agreement, if you can offer something that you don't have, or try to set up an appointment, you always ask for the appointment, let them say no. You always go for the best case scenario. So if I'm at an open house, I'm going to say, hey, how are you going about finding the perfect home? I'm going to get them to talk about themselves. And do you know someone that lives in the neighborhood? What has you looking in this area? What do you like about this area? Where do you work? I'm just building rapport, getting them to talk. And then I'm trying to figure out a reason to be able to have a next step. So if I find out that, oh yeah, we've just been going to open houses, great. Well, how long have, when do you think you're going to be doing something? What's going on? Well, we're renting and, we're month to month. Oh, fantastic. Well, how are you? You ask them, how are you going about finding the perfect house, whatever. Oh, we've just been going to open houses, looking online. Perfect. Well, I have a proactive and intentional approach that not only helps my clients find the home they want, but more importantly, want the home they get. And, it really just starts with a strategy session. I mean, I'd love to, for you to hire me and have me do all the legwork for you. Would you be able to meet for a strategy session for like 20 minutes, maybe one day this week or next Saturday or after the open house today or whatever? Like, just ask them for an appointment and let them, either say yes or no. And then if they say, no, well, we're not ready now. Okay, well, hey, I'd be happy to send you over my my wish list criteria sheet. It really helps people focus in on what's important to them. Like, have you worked on these dialogues and when you can offer something? And then, hey, would you like to be alerted every time a deal comes on the market? There's lots of good deals out here, and I make it a point of finding out what the really good deals are. I'd be happy to alert you when a great property comes on. Actually, download my mobile app. We should be offering the mobile app at the open house, right? We should make sure that we're doing that. So you can put in the follow-up of what you're going to do. Send a thank you note, send a thank you video, send them the buyer criteria sheet, put them on a safe search, offer your mobile app to them. So these are all things that you want to be offering people. You want to keep offering. And remember, if you come to the website and go to dashboard, it's got your mobile app link right here. So I know that we had a few people already put that in their email signature, right? Lori, you worked with a few people, Tracy and some other folks.
Yep.
So make sure that you add this to your email signature, and this will direct people right to downloading the mobile app. And tell them the differences. I put up a sample email last time with just some of the different functionality, and you can go right to the website page. You can go right to your website page that actually talks about the consumer benefits. You need to be offering that. That's just simply located by going to your website and then going here to account benefits. And this is where people can sign up. You do want to encourage people to sign up for an account on your website. And then as you start building in like your service provider list and all those things that we want to do on the website, you can have, you can really start to get a lot of traction where people come to your website because there's a lot of resources on there. So you want to be able to put the resources on the website. If there's nothing really other to do than search, then you're only getting people to come to your website when they're in the buying experience. And I'm trying to encourage people to have their website be a place where there's a lot of additional resources for people in the before, in the during, and the after stage of the transaction. Because if you had a page on here, maybe it's just you upload a bunch of like sample documents, and then you have maybe some tutorials on things, and started a little video library. Maybe you start a little blog area where you start blogging about different things. That service provider list is fantastic because after the sale, your clients are going to encounter and need about 10 to 15 different tradespeople after they move in. They're also going to need 10 to 15 tradespeople before they sell their house. So you can get the interaction by having that quality 5-star referral center or service provider list, or the people I like most. And then you're forced to kind of stay in communication with those businesses because they're live on your website. So you want to make sure that they stay in business, they're still taking new customers. That gives you an opportunity to talk to all these other business owners, and they're going to be thrilled that you're trying to help them grow their business. So the page on that website becomes like a living, breathing, nurturing website that actually fills you with some communication and activities on a quarterly basis. So it's a great thing to have. I think everybody should start putting together, and I know we had one before, even in the office. We had a list, a service provider list, quality vendors, and you'll see people go into center members all the time in search of this, in search of that, right? ISO, in search of. Well, we should already have that being built on our own websites. And then you can offer it to your clients. Another great thing to do is with buyers, if they buy a house and there's inspection items, write down those inspection items that either needed to be done or they said they were just going to go ahead and do and they got the cash. So if you get the price reduced, instead of having the seller fix items, you should write down keep that list. And then if you're following the 1 week, 30-day, and 60-day follow-up phone calls after a buyer gets in a house, if you're following that 7-day, 30-day, 60-day phone call system, the 30-day system or even the 7-day is, hey, now I know that we reduced the price. When do you want to start working through those repair items that we didn't have the seller do? And what service providers are you going to need? Let's look at that list. And then it's same thing in 30 days. Hey, is it now? Is it time? You know, we need to be helping our clients through the items after the inspection. Like when I bought my house out here, the window, it looked like a baseball hit the window. So it's got like a circle, but it didn't pop all the way through. And we asked the sellers, replace the window. They said, no, here's $1,200. Guess what? The window still has a baseball thing on it. I never replaced the window. It would be great if my agent would have called me and said, hey, I have a window person. Let's get that window replaced. You're going to have to do it now or later. You might as well do it now and enjoy the fact that you're not losing cold air out the basement. See, I mean, how much are we staying involved after they move in? The other thing about iBuyers, I'm kind of just like going a little deeper on some of these things, but we need to be telling the story. You know, these iBuyers, they're based out of not Atlanta. Like, does anybody know where Zillow headquarters is? I think it's either Washington or Phoenix, or I can't remember. It's not Atlanta. Open Door, they're not based, they have offices in Atlanta. They're not in Atlanta. So all these iBuyers, when they come in and bring down the value of homes, right? Because they're buying below market value. So now it's bringing down the value in all the neighborhoods. People are trying to like get equity to go up. Well, with iBuyers, it's counterproductive for us. But the other bigger picture that we need to be talking about is that money does not stay in our communities. So the money that these companies are making for shareholders is going to other states. Whereas when a local realtor earns a commission, we keep the money right there because we live in these communities. So we're out going to the stores. We're contributing toward the taxes of schools. We're keeping businesses alive right in our own community. These iBuyers come in and they cut and run. So they pay you less and then they take the money out of our communities. So there's a lot of consequences for these kinds of things. Now they're only, I forget the percentage, so they're not making that much of a percentage as far as market share. But what we need to understand, and what Zillow was really good at doing, was they got everybody onto Zillow.com. Zillow has become, like you say, real estate. What do most people think? Well, they should think Remax, but you know what? They're thinking Zillow. And that's because they were really good at getting out that platform, and they were consumer facing, consumer friendly for so long. They were actually protecting the agent for a long time until that CEO left. And once that guy left, now they are unrolling Zillow 2.0. But what they were able to do is get all that market share on their website, and their name became second nature to people. So now, even when they started offering and turned into a real estate company, what they do is they had 77,000 requests for an offer on people's homes in 2019. 77,000 people said, hey, make me an offer. They only bought 4,000. They didn't buy them any. But what do you think is the advantage of having 73,000 people that expressed an interest in having their home bought?
They're eventually going to get somebody. They're eventually going to buy a house somewhere.
Yeah, or they're going to want to sell. So they were able to expose people that have, even if it's an interest for later. But that's what we're supposed to be doing too.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't happen by hiding and hanging out at home. So I don't care about getting 77,000, but I want to make sure I protect my sphere of influence. And I want to work around everywhere there's a for sale sign, because predictive analytics already let me know. And I'm telling you, even if you don't want to do the new prospect letter, please humor me. And I'm going to do it, because I'm just going to go and track it now, because that's what I'm going to do. But I'm going to go find a listing of Remax centers in a neighborhood, and I'm going to put myself on a safe search for that neighborhood. And I'm going to see how many other homes list between now and the time that property sells, and 45 days later. The spring market has already started. So if you haven't already started the engagement process with people for the spring market, somebody else already has. Like, expireds are just huge. Ask White if expireds are good. Ask White if probates are good. I mean, he's got so many probates, he can't even get to them all. Most of those people are going to sell that property. That's probably another avenue where I bet a lot of people are asking Opendoor probates.
Oh, yeah.
Don't you think?
Oh, yeah, because
they don't want to deal with it.
They don't.
And it wasn't their money that was invested in it. So could you imagine the letter that you could craft for probates? Oh my God, it'd be brilliant. Brilliant. And I'm just trying to pick 3 things that I'm going to get really good at. Open houses, 100%. I mean, many of you know I'm sitting in a neighborhood now. It's an open house every day. I'm getting so good at communicating with people, following up with people. The fortune is in the follow-up. That is for sure. I'm really able to see how that's so true. And I'm getting good at it. I'm getting good at having a next step. I'm getting really good at follow-up. I wasn't that good at it before, but now it's been since March. I'm getting really good at it. And it's fun to see my skill set improve and the way I communicate with people improve. So if you will just get consistent at some things, it's amazing what can happen. And this isn't about a bunch of different shiny objects. These are all things that we've already talked about. The problem is we haven't made it a habit. So if I like the new listing letter, I'm going to put myself on a safe search. The minute I'm notified, the letter goes out. I don't care if it's 50 letters, 40 letters, 100 letters, 250, doesn't matter. But you know what? That fills your lead generating hours. So when people say, well, I don't have time. Well, the only way I could see you wouldn't have time to be able to do that is if you already have such a big business going that you don't even need to do that. But if you don't have a lot of business, then you have plenty of time to get out 100 letters. And figure out what in that process is holding you back. Is it the printing of the letters? Is it pulling up the tax records? Is it figuring out how to print labels? Like, what is that specific item that's holding you back? That's what we're here for. We'll figure it out. I don't know if I know how to do it, but you know what? I know how to figure out how to do it because I can Google it. I can YouTube it. We can ask people. Like, we can figure out what is holding you back, but you got to tell us what's holding you back. But just to have, oh, that's such a good idea, but no, I never did it. Well, why? Then just say it's not a good idea or it's not one of your three. But if I could encourage anybody for anything this year, it's one, to get uncomfortable, to track every time you're uncomfortable, and two, figure out three things that you are going to stay committed for the entire 2020. Like 3 sales channels that you are 100% in for 2020 and you're not going to stop for 2020. Like that's what I want to see, that kind of commitment on exactly that. And here I just got, the office can help with the entire process. The office can help with the entire process. So get into Booge, get your top 100 automated if you choose to. Go ahead and get that mobile app into as many people's hands as possible. Make sure you've downloaded it yourself and you've played around with it. Start thinking about a service provider list for your website. Ask people to set up an account on your website. Start offering pairs. What did PAIR stand for?
Personal Equity Assessment Report. I love that. I love that.
Personal Equity Assessment Report. Get someone to create an awesome PAIR ad in Canva. Like I would probably go to Fiverr. This is what I want. Somebody create it. I mean, some of you are already so creative anyway. We could probably go on to the Remax creative group and ask somebody else to do it. Somebody would probably do it on there.
Yeah.
Get involved in the Remax Booge Facebook page. Get involved in the Remax Creative. You can go to the files section in there and just look in the files of all the stuff people have shared in the past. There's no need to reinvent the wheel. Utilize some of these ideas, some of these marketing ideas. Offer free analysis to see how undervalued the offer was from Opendoor. How much below market, how much money are you going to leave on the table? And are you comfortable with that? I'll provide you with a free analysis because we know that there's 3 things that all those iBuyers do not take into account when they make the initial offer. What I will tell you is that their initial offer will never go up. It never ends up higher. So there's so many cool little things that you can do with marketing on the iBuyer. And I'll go on a bunch of free appointments for people. I'll go on a ton of free appointments and do an evaluation for them to show them how much money they're leaving on the table all day long. No obligation required.
I mean, I think if you want to get your listing appointments stacked and you need so many listing appointments a month, I think this is a great way to get in. Like,
don't you?
I mean, like you want to, if you want to up your game a little bit on your listing appointment numbers, like if you need 12 appointments a month to hit your goal, you know, if you backed your goal down and you know exactly what you've got to do. And I think this is a perfect way to get in there and, you know, get a lot more than what you normally get.
It's the message I would leave for FSBOs. It's the message I would leave for expireds. It's a letter that I would craft and mail it to expireds. I'd mail it to FSBOs. I mean, you know, probably all the non-owner occupied properties, they're getting a letter because you know, I guarantee you, I did it on both my houses. I requested an offer on both of my investment homes, both of them. So, I mean, people are doing it. So anyway, hopefully I've inspired you to take some action, learn some new things, and get uncomfortable. Let's all get uncomfortable in 2020. Let me know how I can help. Lori's here. Denise is here. We're all here. All you have to do is set up a time, set up an appointment. We can work through anything. I encourage you to find an accountability partner, a prospecting partner, dedicate 2 hours to work with someone else. It's amazing what you can learn with that synergy and that collaboration. It's amazing. Safety in numbers, that was always my little thing. So hopefully this was good and gave you some ideas. Let us know how we can help. We are here. And I think that's it. Good job for everybody for last year. I saw you guys had a great sales meeting, it looked like. So if there's no questions or comments, I think we're good. Everybody have a great day, and then Lori, I'll see you in a few minutes.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, thanks everybody.
Thanks.